Chase Claypool to the Chicago Bears for Chicago's second round pick. And was there a fifth in there too? Was there four? Was it just the second? I felt like there was one more.
I thought it was just a second. It was confusing.
Just a second. Okay.
Because there was thought that they may be giving up I forget.
There were conflicting reports.
Yeah.
So Roquan Smith traded from Chicago to Baltimore. A second round pick was included in that deal. And there were conflicting reports out there about which second rounder was going to the Steelers in exchange for Chase Claypool. It is the Bears' actual second round pick, which in my opinion is way too much to give up for a player like Chase Claypool, who's 2.5 years into his rookie deal and will be looking to get paid this offseason. Ryan, do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree with any of that. But I mean, in terms of, he's going to be looking to get paid. But he's in year 3. He has one more year left.
Do you think the Bears overpaid or no?
No, I don't. And I don't think they overpaid because they have a huge need there. He's now the best player on that team. Breech mentioned there was competition from the Packers potentially, and that potentially changed why it wasn't the Ravens second rounder ended up being their own second rounder because they had to up the price to get him. And I would imagine, there have been talks of Chase Claypool being traded for 10 days now. So this isn't a surprise that more than one team may have potentially been in the running for him. Are the Bears better today than they were 2 hours ago? Yeah, they are better. Offensively anyway. And, the talk in the offseason was, well, they drafted 2 defensive backs with their first 2 picks. They didn't have a first round pick. That's great. But Justin Fields is the loser in that situation. And that sort of bared itself out over the first 2 months of the season. I think now he's playing better. The offense seems to be trying to amplify what Justin Fields does best. And now he has someone to throw the ball to who's above 5'8". Those are all wins in my book.
And we just talked about Brandon Cooks. Do you think he's literally reading the NFL rulebook right now, trying to figure out if he can trade himself to the Packers? Because that would have solved a lot of problems for everyone.
Well, the great thing about Brandon Cooks is this is the only way he'll be able to play for every single NFL team. He can't stay more than 18 months in one location. He's got to get in and out of there. So I understand his being upset about this.
The thing about Justin Fields, too, I do feel like his play over the last few weeks is almost being rewarded here. He is showing over these last couple of games. I was in Foxborough when he destroyed the Patriots. He's playing really well right now. He was surprising to me seeing him live, how impressive he was, moving with his legs, throwing on the run, things that I didn't think that he was really, capable of doing at the NFL level. And it was, the takeaway from it was, wow, if they had some weapons with over $100 million in salary cap space this offseason, they could really build something around him. I don't know if they need to go into the draft to get a quarterback or anything along those lines. And so now at least you're starting that building process of building an offense. Yeah, maybe that second round pick's a little high because your record's not going to be that good. So that second round pick's going to be relatively high. But at the same time, I do think, very similar to what we were saying about Tua, this move is almost a stamp of approval for what they've seen from Justin Fields so far.
Yeah, and look, I want to be clear. I like the idea of going out and getting help for Justin Fields. I have said repeatedly throughout this offseason and early in the season that the Bears and Ryan Poles, their first-year GM, and Matt Eberflus, their coach to a degree too, have done a disservice to Justin Fields by not acquiring anything, by not signing anybody, by not trading for anybody on offense. Like their biggest offseason investment on offense was Velus Jones Jr. in the second round. And I understand they didn't have a ton of picks. I like going to get Claypool. I think he's a good fit across from Mooney and with what Justin Fields does and sort of the style that he plays with. I think they gave up too much for him.
But they wouldn't have gotten him if they didn't give up what they gave up.
That is
true.
Probably fair.
Well, I guess my question would be about
the whole thing. The Ravens second round pick, that'd be a lot more palatable.
Well, Will, my question would be, would you have liked it better if they traded that second round pick for Brandon Cooks?
No, I would. Claypool is better than Cooks.
So you'd rather. So it's not necessarily.
That's an age and production,
right? So, but I'm saying, out of the wide receivers that I guess were available at the deadline, he was the best one, right?
Yeah, getting Claypool is a good move in a vacuum for the Bears, but it is very likely that you're going to end up giving away a better pick than the one used to actually select Claypool 2.5 years ago, which to me is just bad math and bad process in terms of what you want to see from your general manager and how they evaluate picks and et cetera. I don't know who I saw a tweet out there too that was like, here are the second round receivers taken in the last 2 years. How many would you take over Claypool? And that's a fair point, but I think I want I want the second. I want my if I'm the Bears and I'm trading away Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn, and very clearly like putting on the tank shoes. I want my second round.
I don't
pick.
think they are putting on the tank shoes. Sully just talked about the ass whooping he witnessed in person.
That was just the spirit of George Hallis coming in and Papa Bear refusing to let Belichick break his record on Monday.
All right, let me ask you that. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this too, hanging on to draft picks too
But
long.
why make a trade for Claypool and give up a second round pick if you're tanking?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Because you're an idiot.
I mean, you rarely see a team that is both buying and selling at the trade deadline. Somehow,
you rarely see a team that is giving away a superstar defensive player in Roquan Smith for a worse pick than what they are giving for what they're giving up to get Chase Claypool, who is.
That's not necessarily uncommon.
I would say it's fairly uncommon.
Chase Claypool is in Chase Claypool is in year 2.5. He's had a fantastic rookie season, so you know what he can do. Joe Musso has entered the chat. He wants to know what the call-in number is.
Musso can jump in here if he wants.
He has to defend his honor.
Send him the link, Billy, if he's not on.
But I like, what does Chase Claypool need to do for you in order for this trade to be worth it? Because I feel like you don't know what you're getting when you enter. Velus Jones was a second-round pick, and he's had a rough go of it. He can't catch punts. He's not doing anything offensively. Claypool, you've seen him have success. So what are you looking for?
Velus Jones literally cost them a game in the Commanders when he muffed the punt. And then
Claypool threw a left-handed touchdown last week. That's all I'm saying.
Would you rather have a guy who can throw a left-handed touchdown or a guy who muffs punts? That seems like...
Well, tell me production-wise over the next 2 months, what does Claypool need to do for you to be okay with this?
The pick needs to not be in like the top 5 of the second round for me to be a top 10.
No, Claypool's production. What do you need from the next 10 games or whatever? How many games have left?
I don't care. I don't know. Like,
no, well, I mean, you're.
I don't think that
against the move.
Well, I mean, are the Bears trying to win this year?
Yeah, I would say yes.
I would say no.
A game.
You can't trade Roquan Smith and then say you're trying to win this year.
Roquan Smith didn't want to be there, and they weren't going to extend him. That's the reality.
Well, you would get a third round compensatory pick for him when he left anyway.
He may have been unhappy, and that may have been sort of. I don't know the details, but I'm just speculating. Like there are reasons to get rid of players. Yeah. So do you want to keep that guy around? That's all I'm saying.
You're the Bears. You're only a game out of
win this year. Yes.
You're only a game out of the final wild card spot right now. There's no reason in an NFL where most teams are just mediocre, just exactly average. There's no reason you can't compete.
And like I was saying too, Fields has been playing at a high level over these last few weeks. They are like, all right, let's it's not like they're buying for just this season, right? It's not like this dude's going to be a free agent this offseason. He is under team control through next year. You have a bunch of cap space. You know, I don't think he's going to be, I mean, yes, he is going to be the number one for this team, but I don't think he's a legit number one wide receiver for an offense. But at the same time, you do have to help Justin Fields at some point, right? Why not get some rapport now going into next year? Again, I'm with you that the price is high. I think everybody would have liked it much better if it was the pick that they got back from the Ravens. But if that's the price, that's the price.
Musso with the old, I don't want to talk to Brinson in person, so I'm just going to share my comment.
What did he say?
He said, Claypool's ceiling justifies this deal. He's not played at that level, but he fits the need. This is a 2023 move. Why wait till the draft to start rebuilding?
What do you think about that?
I think that he's saying that this team is rebuilding and not playing to win this year.
So are you okay with the move in that?
No, I'm not okay with giving up a high second round pick for Chase Claypool.
But wait a second. If they go 8 and 9, that's not a high second round pick. It's a middle of the road second round pick.
Okay. They gave up too much for Chase Claypool.
Okay.
That is my stance. I think they're tanking because I don't think you trade Roquan Smith if you're not tanking. And so I think the Bears are tanking and gave up a high second round pick for a receiver who has a year and a half left on his rookie deal and doesn't have a 5th-year option available because he was a second round pick. And
well, they got a second round pick for Roquan who has a half a year left in his deal.
So it's like they traded Roquan Smith. They were going to lose Roquan Smith anyway. That's the thing. So it's like, why not just get something in return? And they got a 2nd round pick, a 5th round pick, and a player.
But your suggestion is that they're playing to win this year.
Our boss Eric K says draft picks are overrated. Worth noting, he is a Washington Commanders fan, so he has some expertise in that arena.
Okay, but then
I agree with EK and the Rams.
But then your point about Roquan Smith doesn't make any sense either. Like, why are you trading Roquan Smith for draft picks if they're so overrated?
but they're also adding Chase Claypool and giving up a draft pick.
Would you trade? Okay, whatever. We're gonna move on from this. I think it's a bad trade. If he's awesome all year long, if he catches 1,000, has 1,000 receiving yards for the rest of the way home, you guys could dunk on me all you want. Giving up a high second round pick for Chase Claypool is too much.
Let's revisit this conversation in 3 years. So mark it down.
Or 3 months.
3 months.
Whatever.